NXT took place tonight in Orlando, Florida, from the WWE Performance Center, their home. Of course, NXT's coming off several releases that happened last Friday, WWE's Black Friday, if you will, in which several talents, particularly in the women's division, were released, so it's a different roster for NXT. We started the match off with a six-man tag team match. You have Hank and Tank come out, and their partner was the TNA champion, Joe Hendry. The three of them do the pose together, and I got this weird vision in my head when they all did the Joe Hendry thing. Joe Hendry should make a cameo in the movie Smile. If there's a third Smile movie. If you've ever seen Smile, it's a horror movie when people, smile and they're possessed by something, and it's really creepy. Hendry can do it. He holds it on for a while. It almost reminds me of Smile. It almost gets creepy in a way. I just wish there could be a cameo with Joe Hendry smiling, and it's like in the horror movie, and it's genuinely scary. There's something about it when he does it for too long. It almost creeps me out. Maybe I've just seen the movie too much, and people smiling for too long shouldn't scare you, but that's when you watch too many Smile movies. However, then you had Dark State come out, their opponents. I don't give a shit about Dark State. They have Go Away Heat with me. When Dark State comes on, I want to watch something else, but it was just a match for a while. Then Trick Williams came out, and he brawled with Joe Hendry. They went to the back, so Hendry was taken out of the match. There's no disqualification, by the way, so then it just becomes a 3-on-2 handicap match for a bit, and Dark State eventually got the win, so I assume they're going to challenge Hank and Tank for the NXT Tag Team titles, probably, unfortunately, going to be a Battleground. I wish Dark State was cut. Those guys fucking suck. You had backstage in the women's locker room, Thea Hale talking to Carmen Petrovic, who has finally ditched that loser, Ashanti Adonis. Hopefully, I'd rather if him got a cut than Cora Jade or Gigi Dolan. I actually like them, but from NXT, or even Jakara Jackson, who I like too. But why is he still here? Anyway, Thea Hale's talking to Carmen, and then Jada Parker comes in. She shows up. She calls both of them soft, particularly Carmen. And Carmen stands up to Jada by mocking her for losing and choking. She did the choking gesture at the Stand and Deliver show. Jada challenges her to a match tonight. So we get Jada Parker and Carmen Petrovic, two women who I think have bright futures in this company. We see various wrestlers preparing for the Battle Royal backstage. And then we have Kalani Jordan out for a match with Zarya. Winner faces Sol Ruka in a number one contenders match at the Battleground show for the NXT Women's North American Championship. He had no quarter catch crew all fired up backstage for the match tonight, which is the Battle Royal. He had Kalani Jordan taking on Zarya, who was accompanied by the Women's North American Champion, Sol Ruka. I always want to see Sol and Kalani go back at it again. And it's too bad we didn't get that. I thought for sure at this show, at Battleground, man, we're going to get two awesome women's matches. We're going to have Sol Ruka against Kalani Jordan in a rematch from the awesome match they had last year. And we're going to get Julia challenging Stephanie Vaquer for the NXT Women's Championship. We're going to get two awesome women's matches. We might still end up with two decent women's matches, but not to the quality if they went the way I preferred. But you had an okay match. On the outside, Kalani Jordan was pushed into Sol Ruka. Sol kind of held her up a bit, and then Zarya just crushes Kalani Jordan. She hits her with a spear, and it goes right through a barricade. She puts her back in the ring, and then she finishes Kalani Jordan with her F5. So she's allowed to do the F5. Zarya wins, and she's now the number one contender to face her good friend, Sol Ruka. So backstage, we see Wesley and his two guys. I don't even remember their names. They're so irrelevant. They walk into the locker room, and Tony D'Angelo's there. They just mock him. They have a weird interaction. I don't know. Like we didn't see any of the skits. There was a lot happening tonight. Couldn't just do everything. But I'm waiting for them to do the match with D'Angelo and Stax. But there's barely any mention of Stax tonight. It almost gets to be worried in a way, But they walk away after being challenged, and that match was set up in that next week. I don't give a shit. Yeah, Trick Williams heading to the ring for the Battle Royal match. Then backstage we go into the catering area. We have Lola Vice talking to Stephanie Vaquer in Spanish. And Lola's all blonde now. And it's her new look. And they're going back and forth. And then all of a sudden, I really couldn't understand what they were saying, but Lola wants to challenge her. Then Julia walks in, and we get to see them face to face. She tells Stephanie Vaquer she hasn't forgotten, and she will see her at Battleground. I really wish we could have saw that match instead, and the fans all wanted that match. People are really getting into Julia now as a heel. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. I think Julia is going to the main roster now. We'll talk about later in the main event. So we get the number one contenders battle royal. A very long match, I have to say. But first we had Elijah, a.k.a. Elias, making a surprise return. And he's doing, I don't know if he does he even do the Elias gimmick in TNA? I don't know. I don't watch it. But he's doing Elijah, and he's acting as Elijah, but Elias, the same gimmick he used to do in WWE. Fans love him. He does the guitar. Everyone's chanting him. They chant "Welcome Home." It's kind of like, oh, wow. That's the TNA. Yeah, like they think of him as theirs. So, I mean, he's an ex-WWE guy. And he's super over. The match went through 2 commercial breaks. It was a very long battle royal. There was a lot of interactions with Wesley and I was going to call him Nash Carter or Zachary Wentz now. He was in TNA. And by the way, I think he's with Gigi Dolan, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe she'll go to TNA. I hope she gets back in WWE. Cora Jade, I think, will get back in. And Jakara Jackson, I think, could if she has a decent run on the Indies. But I kind of feel bad for some of these. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for the NXT chicks. I wish they weren't kind. Just kind of, there's almost this dark cloud on the show, but I didn't think some of these girls really should have been cut here. I know they can't have everyone. Like, WWE's not a charity case where you can just employ everyone, but I kind of feel bad for some of the NXT chicks who really got released. And Dakota Kai, I'm also upset about. I don't know. But there's a skin account on all 4 sides. They had an awesome spot where Trick just destroys Wesley in elimination. He hits the trick shot, and like Wesley gets sent to an announce booth. Joe Hendry's distracting Trick Williams, and that allows Elijah to eliminate him. Then Elijah got eliminated after him, and then Joe brawls with Trick again. So Joe Hendry gets revenge. Trick costs him the first match in the 6-man tag. Now Joe gets Trick eliminated. I really thought. By the way, I also have to mention him. I felt like one of the longest battle royals I've seen in a long time. By the way, but I really thought Javon Evans was going to win. But then you have all of them out of nowhere. It's Javon Evans, Ethan Page, Sean Spears, and Miles Bourne as the last 4. You have Ethan Page and Sean Spears eliminate him. And I thought, all right, Miles Bourne's winning because you're not going to have 2 heels. One challenge was Obafemi. And then you had Miles Bourne eliminate both Ethan Page and Sean Spears, and Miles Bourne wins. He celebrates with the No Quarter Catch crew, but Charlie Dempsey isn't getting in the ring with him. Ren and the other guy, I forget his name, are celebrating with Miles Bourne. So he challenges Obafemi for the NXT Championship. I don't know if that's the main event, because that doesn't seem like a big enough main event for a Battleground, but cool for Miles Bourne. I don't mind if they're holding off on the Javon Evans Obafemi match. Javon Evans will defeat Obafemi, in my opinion. He's going to win the NXT Championship. He's going to be the biggest star in NXT probably by the time next year. However, I get it. They want to hold off on a bit. If they could set up in the summer, NXT's not going to do a show in New York. I wish they would, because that's the 10-year anniversary of the first NXT TakeOver Brooklyn show. If they can do like a 10-year anniversary show called NXT Brooklyn in Barclays Center, that'd be awesome. And that's where you have Javon defeat Obafemi. That's where you can have Stephanie and Julia. They can just do a massive card. I wish they would, but I don't think that's going to happen. But, yeah, he's Miles Bourne's sponsoring for NXT Championship. Backstage, Jordan Grace is interviewed by Sarah Schreiber. And then Schreiber, however you not pronounce her name. And then Izzy Dame interrupts her. Then Lash Legend interrupts. All I thought was, Lash Legend is so boring. She needs to be part of the metaphor. I think they might have made a mistake. I think this might actually hurt Lash in a way. I think they should just kept. I still think. I really wanted to see Lash and Jakara go to the main roster together and do a heel faction with Naomi, and Naomi is the leader. I think that's what they should have done, but they didn't. And, yeah, Izzy she seems really tall. I don't know. Jada Parker's out next. Then you had Karen Petrovic enter on the break. And you had Jada Parker, Carmen Petrovic, and I think Thea Hale was there for Carmen. Match wasn't much. It wasn't very good. Jada won. She beat her up after the match. She beat Carmen clean, and she was beating her up after the match. And then she does that splash she does with her ass, whatever it's called, kind of like that rear view, but then Thea Hale takes it so Carmen doesn't have to. And then Carmen's about to hit Jada with a kick, but Jada just drops down and leaves the ring. It didn't look good at all. The match was sloppy. Jada and Carmen are both sloppy. They both been improving a lot. Just was not a good match. A lot of botches here, but I don't know. I don't think this really did either one of them any favors. Backstage, Ava is upset with Joe Hendry for all the fights he's having with Trick Williams. However, she says he will face Trick Williams at Battleground. And we have, okay, and I thought, that's fine. Trick taking on Joe Hendry, but it's for the TNA Championship. So that's good for TNA. Get the TNA title featured at Battleground. I think that could actually be the main event because I think both of them are more over than Miles Bourne is. And even in a way, Oba Femi is, even though he has great matches. But I think that's probably the biggest match. And it'd be kind of cool to see a TNA World title match headline an NXT show. Wesley's getting off the phone at someone. We see Inamura leaving with his luggage as the camera continues, and then he apologizes to Josh Briggs for eliminating him. They embrace, and then he announces that he's going back to Japan. All the crowd is shocked. Not too surprising because he told that to Ava a couple weeks ago. He's going to go back soon, but that's it for Inamura. He had a good run here. He had some really good tag matches, but he's going back to Pro Wrestling Noah. I'm sure one day we'll see him back in NXT, but that's it for Inamura. And Josh is sad, and then the culling comes in. They mock him and for failing again, that his tag team partner left him, and then they're trying to recruit him into the culling. Briggs, I think, definitely can have a future. No quarter catch crews backstage, and it's just so stupid because Charlie Dempsey is trying to take Miles Bourne's spot to face Oba Femi, and then Oba walks in, and he's confused of who he's facing. Oba looks stupid. Charlie Dempsey sucks, man. Miles Bourne, I think, is talented, and then eventually Miles Bourne sets up Charlie against Oba next week, and if Charlie can beat Oba, it's a triple threat, but then Oba says, no triple threat, and then it's just a singles match. Julia's out next. We get a Chase U video. Andre Chase gets a new uniform. They preview next week's show, and then we get the main event. Julia against Jordan Grace. So there was a really scary spot where Julia was dropped right on her fucking neck. It was scary. I was really worried for her. It was a good match. It had some good counters, some good wrestling here. Both of them are good. Julia's obviously on a different level than Jordan, but Jordan's good. And Jordan Grace won clean. However, everyone wanted Julia to win. Julia was super over here. It's kind of like turning her heel finally got her to the level they wanted her to be at. She's not as over as Stephanie Vaquer was, but no one saw Stephanie coming. Julia's gotten over. She's popular now with the fans. They were cheering for her over Jordan. They don't necessarily hate Jordan, but they were cheering for Julia. Jordan was getting booed when they did the forearm spots. They were into Julia now. They're starting to get into her as a heel. She's really digging with this NXT crowd. And however, she just lost clean in the middle of the ring to Jordan Grace. Why? I really want to see Julia and Stephanie, and unfortunately, I think Julia's just on the main roster now. I say unfortunately now, well, she's making more money. It's good for her. She's not going to be as over as she is that she needs to be before she goes to the main roster. She can easily get lost in the shuffle. You know how it works on the main roster. She can easily, her lack of English can hurt her. Eventually, she'll get split from Roxanne Perez. I don't need to see Roxanne and Julia as a team. I don't want them as a team. I want to see Julia in NXT for a while, then go to the main roster. I don't need to see her and Roxanne teaming. But it seemed like to me that that's it for her in NXT in a way. That's almost how it felt to me. And she's on Raw next week. She's facing Rhea Ripley. She's teaming up Roxanne Perez against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. So I think that might be it for Julia in NXT. So Stephanie Vaquer came out after a match, and her and Jordan Grace have a face-to-face. That's how NXT ended tonight. And overall, I have to say, I don't agree with some of the booking decisions, particularly the main event, but as a show, it was very good. It was probably the best NXT I've seen. Episode of NXT I've seen. Post Stand and Deliver, easily, to be honest. I thought it was better than the show in the Fontainebleau a couple weeks ago, and much better than last week's show. This was a good episode tonight. Did a good job of hyping up Battleground. I think they're doing a decent... I think they're building up the show well. I just don't think the matches are as good. I don't know if it'll be a great show. I doubt it'll be as good as Stand and Deliver or even that show in the Garden or even Vengeance Day, but they've done a better job of building up Stand and Deliver than building up Battleground than they did Stand and Deliver, which came together at the last minute, the whole card. But they've been building this card well. I thought NXT was a decent episode tonight, and we'll see what happens next. We'll see how the story progresses. We'll see if Julia's done in NXT or she still has unfinished business. I really want to watch a long-term feud with Stephanie Vaquer and Julia. I think they have magic together. They have incredible chemistry. It could be the biggest women's feud in the history of NXT. I just really wish we could have seen a longer feud between the two of them, but it doesn't look like it now. It looks like Julia is on the main roster, and I think Vaquer will be joining her sooner than later. So that was NXT this week.